the Snyder Cut and fandom. Is the Snyder Cut a love letter to fans, or is it a white flag of surrender to toxic fandom? Oh my gosh, what a thing to say. But wait, before we talk about it, let's watch the video. All right. This is the trailer. This is the messaging that Warner Brothers and DC want to send out about the release of the Snyder Cut. And just very quickly, Heidi, we're talking about your story. Could you just tell us what the Snyder Cut is? Just give us a real quick recap of what that means.
So there was a screening. Zack Snyder, of course, made Man of Steel, and then he made Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and then he started work on Justice League, the culmination of this Snyderverse. And he shot it, and then there was a time when they sat down to look at the rough cut in the studio at Warner Brothers with a bunch of high-level folk in the room, other screenwriters, other filmmakers, executives, and he, the traditional part of the movie-making process where you just bring in just all the crap you got, and perhaps some of it is just, storyboard form, whatever. Just show them what you got. And he did. And it was about 2.5 hours. It was not finished. It did not have special effects. It did not have music, anything. It was just a very, 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 very rough cut. And then the Warner Brothers executives were so horrified by what they saw that they immediately tried to get Joss Whedon to do the movie. So actually, I'm misstating. There was a lot of other things involved, including tragedy and Snyder's family.
Right. We don't want to discount that for sure.
But they were alarmed. They were very alarmed. Executives were very alarmed by what they saw that day.
Well, and let's also put it in the context. They had released 2 previous movies that led directly to this, directed by Snyder, the Superman movie, whichever one that was, Man of Steel, and then the Superman v. Batman, where they took all the ultimate moments of Superman and Batman that it took 40, 50 years of comics, and they just blew the load on the screen and put all that stuff out right in the beginning and sort of led into what we see. Now, okay, people are saying they fell in love with Joss Whedon and the Avengers. They say, well, you got to be funny like that. We want to make $1 billion like Avengers. So they stepped on his vision before it could be completed, and it's rumored that it's been out there. Fans are wanting it, and let's just see how they've decided to announce that, and then we'll bring the panel in and talk about it. Okay, let's check this out.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, play.
Hey guys, thought I might crash your little watch party.
I have a question that is the mother of all our questions as a fandom. When will you release the Snyder Cut?
There it is.
Yes.
There it is. It's a hard question. I don't know. What do you think, Henry?
I reckon you should show it.
We're doing it. So get ready.
Oh my God.
Okay, so forgive a guy who went to school for broadcasting and is trained in the semiotics of video and media, okay? But I'm going to look at this thing and I'm going to say, what are they trying to do here? It is emotionally manipulative in both its music and its selection of the people that were chosen to participate in this. We've got Henry Cavill flashing his muscles. There was no reason he didn't have to have sleeves on, but all right, whatever.
You work as hard as he does, you're going to wear a tank
come on.
top.
I mean, what's the point of having Henry?
You do not shoulder shame Henry Cavill. No. No.
Okay, you're right.
All right.
So anyway, they pump it up. There's emotional music. There's people on the verge of tears. We've been waiting for the Zack Snyder Justice League cut since I don't know how long. All right. Heidi wrote a story about this, and she pointed to another story that I think was from Forbes that talked about this. Are they capitulating to toxic fandom, or are they taking the advice of the people who know these characters the best to identify that there was something wrong going on? We started with Heidi. We'll end with her thoughts on it. Let's start with General Zod. Well, your feelings?
I don't think there is anything, such a thing as toxic fandom. I think there are definitely toxic people within fandom, and those people tend to want to isolate out other people who are also fans. But I don't think fandoms can be toxic. They can be vocal, they can be loud, they can be energetic. Those are all things that the Warner Brothers takes advantage of. So is it toxic? Is it capitulating? I think they're using an opportunity to roll out like a movie that maybe didn't do all that great and like get everybody excited about it. We're all home watching movies.
Okay.
It's actually kind of brilliant.
Okay. Jesse James, I'm going to unmute you and I'm going to ask your thoughts on this.
Okay, just real quick on my part, controversy sells, you control the mob, you win. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to on my part.
So what do you mean? But what do you mean by that? I don't understand. So you're saying they're using
if you control the narrative, I think as you start to control that narrative, you can actually get your fans really do anything in that type of universe. That's not really my expertise, but I just know by watching just that little thing, there's this control factor of what we want you to see, and that's what we're then bring out to you, but we're then do it in our way, shape, or form.
Interesting. Cliff Biggers, what are your thoughts on this issue?
Yeah. The studios have had over a 50-year tradition of finding a way to put new material into a film or a television series and reissue it and sell that product again. I think it's brilliant to do it. Let's face it, there's no interest in buying more copies of the Joss Whedon Justice League. Everyone who wanted it has it. If they just put that on HBO Max, who's going to care? But by announcing we've got a different version of the film, it's just like when the network showed Aliens and they added 10 minutes of extra footage that didn't really add anything to the story, but we all watched ABC TV to see what those 10 minutes were. Or when they re-edited The Godfather in chronological order, putting the films together chronologically, and we wanted to see, is this a train wreck or is this brilliant? We don't know.
I'm gonna pause you on that one, Cliff, because this is my show, and the Godfather saga was awesome. I love watching it that way.
And I didn't say that's fine, and it doesn't hurt anything. Both versions still exist. It's like when someone asked Stephen King how he felt about The Shining, the film, and what they did to his books. They said they didn't do anything to my books. They're on my shelf just like they always were. The Joss Whedon Justice League hasn't gone away. We just now have a different Justice League, so they can make you buy it twice and make you subscribe to the channel to see it. And they can manipulate carefully chosen people in a viewing audience to ask just the right questions that have all been set up to make it look like everyone cares. And the simple truth is the number of hardcore fans who are going to watch this, it's going to be the tiniest blip in the viewership of HBO Max. HBO Max needs the excitement of the news talk, and the idea that they have done a totally new cut of a big budget film makes some people curious. Maybe I should subscribe to this to see what else they're going to do.
Yeah. Heidi, this was your article.
So
I read your article. Well, I just want to talk about it for a sec. And I had a hard time getting exactly what your take was. Like, I'm trying to understand how you feel. If you feel, is it a white flag or is it a love letter?
Well, I mean, it's both. It's everything, isn't it? I mean, like everything exists all at once now. Everybody has an opinion. And I mean, that's what we're really talking about. I mean, I may agree with Adam, fandom is a great thing, but, people can be toxic and horrible about it. And now we have a place where horrible voices are put on the exact same platform as voices that we would consider more mainstream. So, that's really what it is. And we in the media ennoble it. I mean, I've done many tests where you tell good news and nobody shares it. Give it a salacious headline and everybody shares it. I mean, I do this all the time and I point it out all the time. So it's like who's going to play the game? I mean, Cliff is absolutely right. Of course, it's a game. And I mean, hey, I'm all for Henry Cavill's, whatever he wants to wear or not wear. I'm fine with that. Okay. By the way, the guy has very few books behind him. Did you notice? Very few books. Just saying. Hey, but there's quite a few articles about this, and my own pointed out that Richard Donner the beloved director of Superman, starring Christopher Reeve, the most beloved superhero movie of all time, the one that all other superhero movies aspire to be. You know, when he made Superman 2, ran into the same thing, studio interference. They took the cut away from him and had Richard Lester come in and finish the movie, okay? And they actually did release their Donner cut. Now, haven't followed that. That was, I think that came out 2005, 6, 7, something like that, 10, 13 years ago. I didn't actually follow that in minute detail. I don't know how much of the footage they had, if it was a recut, whatever. Obviously, they didn't go back and reshoot it. But, you know, like absolutely, this is just something that happens. Now, this extraordinary, uncertain times we live in have made the Snyder cut, you know, this cause to love. Because I just, you know, did you people really love Batman v Superman that much? That movie was hated. I mean, it was.
Yes, you are correct.
Like,
well,
what
it
the
depends who you
hell?
ask. If it depends who you ask. If he's watching right now, we could get contrarian and Chief Larry Young in here, and he would tell you that he loved it, and it's an underrated masterpiece. And Snyder
Larry will tell you a lot of things.
Yes, but Larry's mother's name is Martha,
Yes,
so
that's
that doesn't count.
By the way, I just want to, before you, anybody, I'm actually a huge Zack Snyder fan. I actually really enjoy his movies. I liked Man of Steel a lot. You know, 300, Dawn of the Dead. I'm actually a fan of his movie making. I thought Batman v Superman was misguided in its storytelling, but a beautifully shot movie. I mean, I think I call him the Alex Ross of directors. You know, he gives superheroes a really super and heroic look. You know, I'm actually a fan of his.
Visually, I would concur that the guy's very talented.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
And a super fan of comics, obviously, to the point of slavish worship to some degree. But Watchmen, garbage. That's my final word. So we're going to move on to our next topic.